is going on, all you wonderful A-plusers out there? It is I, Stuart, here once again to give you guys another Kamen Rider Saber review. This time I'm going to be talking about episode number 35. Quick little update though before I really get into this review. This is possibly my last Kamen Rider Saber review I'm going to be doing for a while, and that really all just depends on what happens with subtitles going forward, because I remembered hearing something about Toei shutting down fan subs, and I know it's been like something that's been bothering a lot of people within the Tokusatsu community, and I'm not 100% sure if that's going to affect where I get my personal torrents from, or if it's going to affect any of the other websites that I usually watch it on. So, I'm just going to put that like warning out there now that this is possibly the last time I review it. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that, where I torrent my episodes from will still be active after this. But it all really just depends on how that all happens. So, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, I guess. But with that all being said, let's definitely get into this episode and break it down, because one thing that was really bizarre about this episode, and I don't mean bizarre in a bad way, I mean like just kind of took me off guard. It felt like it was leading up to like a series finale. Like this felt like it was meant to be a penultimate episode, or even like a series finale episode in some aspects. And the reason is because a lot really happens in this episode. I mean, I was like trying to think of like what specific points that I want to break down, and there's so many things that happen, and it's just like, man, I gotta talk about all of this. Like I don't have to go into detail about every little thing, but there's just so much that happens in it, and I do need to at least bring it up. So starting with the beginning, we get like a really awesome scene where Toma is finally reunited with Luna, and it's really cool because we get this kind of I assume non-diegetic scene where we see Toma and Kento both as kids again, as they're talking with Luna again for the very first time, and we see like just this real shock in Kento's face, like, because this was not any of the possible futures that he ever saw, and just his whole kind of mindset of questioning about like the different possibilities of like how this whole story may end is suddenly a lot more, it's a lot less limited, because he always thought there was only one way to stop all this, and now we kind of see him looking at other possibilities. For example, unfortunately, this reunion is very short-lived, because she's immediately captured by Rika, which I know I shouldn't be surprised about, because we knew that Rika was watching him the whole time, but I kind of was. I kind of figured, okay, she didn't capture the little girl, but she captured Yuri, so I assumed that was going to be her kind of victory there, but nope. She also has two victories here, as she captures both Yuri and Luna in the exact same day, unfortunately. We then cut to Master Logos, who is finally working on his overall diabolical plan to essentially rewrite the entire universe using all of the Kamen Rider swords. He lures the rest of the riders out there, and we see that Luna is currently there, but she's in kind of a deep sleep, so therefore he's unable to finish his overall plan at the moment anyways. So Rintaro, of course, goes and tries to save Luna, but he's being stopped by one of the henchmen, but of course he's going toe-to-toe with him, much like in the previous episode. Meanwhile, we get a really weird moment where it turns out all the buildup that we had of this guy constantly following Ren and promising to make Ren stronger, and it really just leads to apparently off-screen training, because Ren just says he's a lot stronger now. So we're just gonna have to take this assumption that they actually went through all this training stuff together. But then we cut back and we see that our movie villain is back, and so Kento, of course, pops in as Kamen Rider Caliber, trying to hold him off, but it doesn't last too long, because then soon Ren also joins the fight, and we see Ren is really pissed off at Kento now because of Kento stealing one of his two swords, and so and of course, because as we kind of get through dialogue here, a lot of who Ren is. Ren tried to kind of, model himself in a lot of ways after Kento. He constantly looked up to him. So seeing Kento's betrayal, you can really see in this scene in particular, completely devastated him. So we get to see Ren finally letting loose with all of his anger towards Kento in this moment. And it's a really cool fight, and I absolutely love how it ends with Kento actually saving Ren's life, by getting in front of a big blast that was coming towards both of them. But don't worry, Kento isn't dead in this episode. I would have been kind of annoyed if they tried to fake it out again, but they don't. He's just kind of injured for a small amount of time, and it's cool because we have this cool understanding between Ren and Kento. Like, it's definitely implied that, Ren definitely does kind of forgive Kento, especially with what happens at the end, which I'll get to in a moment. But in the meantime, all the riders are either completely wiped out from battle or, too injured to work, or their swords are locked up. So it ends up being up to Toma at the end of the day to try to take this guy down and stop Master Logos from exceeding in his plan. And in doing so, he unlocks a new power-up again. I swear, I know 01 had a lot of power-ups, but I swear this show just really one-ups everything in terms of how many times Kamen Riders end up changing their outfits and everything. But regardless, it is a pretty cool costume design. I really enjoyed the transformation sequence for it, of course. But unfortunately, it's very short-lived because Master Logos immediately collects not only Toma's power, but basically... Excuse me. He basically collects the power from all the other riders as he's ready to finish his master plan of rewriting the entire world. And we get basically the same thing that we've been seeing through all of Kento's visions of the future. The portal is being opened up, and now the world is about to disintegrate the same way we've seen it many other times beforehand. But as he's using Luna, who's the final piece of this puzzle, Luna is able to somehow build a bridge so Toma's able to go up and rescue her. Now, this scene, I've seen so many people joking about how silly it looks, and it really does. The scene where you have Toma trying to run up this bridge, it does look incredibly cheesy and just really bad, but honestly, I think because of what they were going for with the emotional level, I think the actors really sell it. So as silly as this is, I do have to give a lot of credit to Toma's actor for being able to play this straight the entire time. So we get a really nice moment where Toma and Luna are luckily reunited, and in saving Luna, he prevents the portal from completely opening up, therefore destroying Master Logos' plans, and also giving everyone their Kamen Rider swords back, with the locks no longer being on them, with the swords themselves no longer being sealed. I didn't get an image of it, I don't believe. No, I did not. I really should have. But we also had this moment where both the Caliber sword and oh god, I forgot what the sword was called for I forgot what Kento's original Kamen Rider form was called before he became the new Caliber. But anyways, they're both they both land into the ground, with the blades in the dirt, and he ends up having to choose one or the other, but he just goes with the Caliber sword, which kind of indicates that, he's still not fully on board with the other riders, which, I kind of expected, and I'm fine with that. My thought was, now you have another sword left over, so, Mei's been here since the very beginning, and she's proven herself to be quite useful. Can she be a Kamen Rider now, please? Please, guys, let Mei be a Kamen Rider. That'd be nice. But unfortunately, that doesn't end up happening in this episode. Maybe in the next one, who knows? But our main villain, Master Logos, ends up, using a wave of darkness, I guess is the best way to describe it, in order to escape from the other riders. And it follows with, and we end our episode with Luna disappearing, but saying that she'll be back. I think this is just kind of she doesn't really have a physical form at this point. She's kind of just this spirit, which would also explain why she still looks like a child, despite, theoretically she should be as old as Toma and Kento. So I guess she's kind of really more of just kind of a spiritual thing. So she's only able to stay in a physical physical form for a very short amount of time, or else she loses too much energy and disappears. But, you know, it's not like a permanent, like, she doesn't disappear permanently, so it's not like she's gone forever. She will probably be back. If I had to guess, I would just assume that it all, in a production standpoint, kind of comes down to, it's just, they already got a lot of characters on the show as it is, and they probably don't want to complicate that by adding even more, especially like with child actors who, you know, not saying child actors are all difficult to work with, but majority of them, it is really a challenge to get the performance you want out of them. Although she, you know, I will say the actress for Luna does do a really good job with what she's given, for sure. So, you know, I don't think, you know, this is the end of her. I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing more of her in later episodes. I just don't think she's going to be like a series regular on the show. But yeah, anyways, that's how the episode ends, though. So all the writers kind of have their swords back, and it's really cool because, with the exception of Kento and possibly Ren, I'm not sure where Ren's going to be at this point, but it looks like all of the Kamen Riders are basically on the same page at this point, so I'm a lot less worried about the idea of them separating again. It looks like for these final, I believe we're going to get like 10 or 15 more episodes. It looks like we're going to have all the writers working together consistently throughout the rest of the latter, I guess, portion of this series, so that's going to be really cool to see. But guys, overall, I thought this was a really fun episode. You know, the fight scenes, I think, were probably the biggest complaint, and not because the fight scenes were bad, but because this episode felt very ADD with the fight scenes. Like, it couldn't focus on a single fight scene for more than 30 seconds. It almost would constantly get bored of itself, like saying, oh, you want to see Rentaro fight, one of the villains? Oh, well, that's boring now, so we're just gonna skip to Toma fighting the movie villain. Yeah, that's boring now. Let's go to Caliber fighting the movie villain and Ren at the same time. No, that's boring now. Go back to Toma. You know, that's what the fight scenes in this episode definitely felt like to me. But with all that being said, I did think that story-wise, this was a very solid episode. I definitely loved a lot of the imagery at the very beginning, like with that kind of, I'm assuming once again that it was a non-diegetic scene. It was really more of a metaphor, you know, with Toma and Kento being reunited with Luna. I thought that was actually a really adorable moment for sure. And again, like, you know, I feel like, you know, the acting, it's cheesy with how over dramatic it'll get, but I do enjoy how much effort the actors always put into it, especially with Toma's actor in this episode. You know, the fact that he could make running up a really cheesy looking CG effect with a really bad, you know, the way he was kind of comped into that, I guess you could say, and just, you know, it looked bad, but the actor at least put a lot of effort into it, and I really enjoyed that. Let me put it that way. But yeah, overall, guys, though, those are just my A+ opinions, of course. We here at A+ Opinions always want to know what you guys think, so definitely let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, but guys, of course, as we always say, above all on this channel, keep it A+.